This week on Eye on Ashland News, John Stefanini reports to us on what's new at the State House. Officers Don Colbert and Kenny Blass keep us up to date with this week's police beat. And entertainment reporter Pearl Oliver reviews the pre-Broadway showing of Translations. Also, we'll bring you the latest breaking news on the NBTA station controversy.
Hello, this is State Representative John Stefanini, and I am bringing you the State House update for Eye on Ashland News. There are several recent developments at the State House of interest to area residents. The governor's proposal to convert the Mass Turnpike and several of the bridges in the Artery Project into the Metropolitan Highway Department has been discussed in the new Metro West Legislative Caucus, revised by Senator Mignani, Chair of the Senate, and Representative Gardner of Holliston, have proposed several amendments to require that tolls not be increased for at a minimum for a 10-year period of time, and alternately that there be an enterprise fund so that funds collected for tolls from area residents would not be used to offset the estimated $9 billion cost of the Third Harbor Tunnel. I will keep you posted on additional updates on that. That's expected to come before the House of Representatives for action as early as next week. On the local aid front, good news. The governor's budget, which proposed $247 million in additional aid, has been endorsed by area legislators and is part of a local aid resolution set to be debated next week. The local aid resolution would provide Ashland with $192,000 in additional school and local aid for the next fiscal year. Also of interest to area residents was the Framingham Center McAuliffe Scholarship Fund that was proposed to be cut within the President Clinton's budget, has since been revised, and commitments have been made by Washington that those funds will be forthcoming. So that's good news for those students and faculty that take advantage of the McAuliffe Center. On a lighter note, we had a recent marriage of a town hall employee, Luz McAvoy, and her husband Ben. I wish them good luck. That's our update for this week, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Colbert from the Ashland Police Department. I'm bringing you the update of the police report for the last week. On February 9th, 160 fifth grade students received a certificate of merit from the DARE program. I'd like to congratulate all these students who did an excellent job, along with the DARE officer, Mignani, on a job well done for these students. The DARE program will more than double next year in its commitment by the police department, and Chief Kinder pledged continued commitment to this program. Now for the news. At approximately 9 p.m. on February 11th, a subject entered Marconi's restaurant and asked one of the waitresses for change for a quarter. As the waitress opened the cash register, a man grabbed a large amount of money and fled. Two employees of the establishment chased him down the street and into the woods. Cruisers from Ashland and Framingham searched the area, along with a canine unit from MCI in Framingham. Officer Wheeler is conducting the investigation and put together a photo array. A subject was positively identified as the perpetrator in this, and a warrant has been issued for his arrest. On February 13th, Monday, at a very serious two-car accident on Route 135 by TJ's Restaurant. Both operators were hospitalized, and one female operator had to be transported to UMass Medical Center by helicopter. On February 14th, Tuesday, one subject came to the station and reported he was assaulted at a liquor establishment in town. He is seeking complaints on his own, and Chief Kinder is investigating this. On February 14th, Tuesday, had another serious motor vehicle accident in the area of 158 East Union Street. A two-car motor vehicle accident with one person transported to the Framingham Union Hospital. Officer Romer is investigating that accident. On Wednesday, February 15th, approximately 11 o'clock in the morning, Officer Blass stopped a motor vehicle on Front Street and arrested the operator, a William Mercurio of Andover, for operating under the influence of alcohol. He was brought to the station and later bailed. On Wednesday, February 15th, a female from Ashland by the name of Mildred Flynn was arrested by Officer Blass for several outstanding warrants. On February 16th, a lady came to the station reporting that on the 15th at approximately 2 p.m. in Ashland State Park, a man exposed himself to her while walking her dog. Officer Colbert is investigating this. Over the past week, we've had 6 motor vehicle accidents, 3 arrests, 1 subject placed in protective custody, and we've answered over 20 burglar calls. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Officer Blass. I'm with the Ashland Police Department, and today I'm going to talk to you about police traffic services and traffic enforcement, as well as some of the objectives of both those subjects. The principal goal of police traffic services is to increase safety on the streets and highways, and this is done largely by enforcing traffic regulations. The purpose of traffic regulations is to indicate to the users of the roads and highways what is expected of them. This is true especially under conditions of unusual congestion or hazards. One of the main objectives of the police is not only to deter people from violating the law, but also encourages them to comply voluntarily. The perception that police enforce a regulation is as important as the existence of the regulation itself. It becomes publicly known that the police are not, if it becomes publicly known that the police are not enforcing a specific regulation, that regulation ceases to influence the decisions made by the motorists and others who affect traffic safety. In addition to enforcement duties strictly related to safety, police often have obligations to enforce laws such as parking ordinances. That includes parking in handicap spots, fire lane violations, or overnight parking in restricted areas. Enforcement action is the principal tool used by the police to reduce the number and severity of accidents. Although it's impossible to prove that increasing enforcement by some amount will decrease accidents by another amount, studies have shown that specific enforcement programs can reduce accident incidents. Some statistics that I gathered from our department alone include the year 1994's motor vehicle accidents. In this town, we had 283 motor vehicle accidents involving property damage. 82 of those accidents involved personal injury. Many motorists believe that the reason for compliance is to avoid being stopped. They think traffic officers operate under a quota system in issuing citations. This is not entirely true. However, some police departments do measure and evaluate work of individual officers on the basis of their work output, for example, tickets, parking tickets, and patrol mileage on the cruisers, but does not mean a specific number of citations must be issued. Traffic laws are enforced to maintain safety on the roadways, never to raise revenue. The police cannot enforce traffic laws by themselves. They need the support of those who pass laws and the public at large. Oftentimes you will see motor vehicles flashing headlights indicating radar enforcement. They do that as a warning system to let other operators know that there's a radar trap ahead. Once again, police do radar to promote safety, not to raise revenue. Traffic laws are enforced to make roadways safer for you and your family members. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pearl Oliver, your entertainment reporter. In Boston, the Colonial Theater, that is currently hosting a pre-Broadway production of Brian Friel's play, Translation, which is set in Ireland, the Ireland of 1833. Although the plot does not revolve around a love story, paradoxically, the most charming and amusing part of the play comes in Act 2, when a beautiful Irish Colleen, played with verve and grace by Dana Delaney, and a young British captain, played with compassion and understanding by Geoffrey Wade, are falling in love and are attempting to communicate. The problem is one of language. The English are occupying Ireland in order to map out and rename Ireland. And at the same time, they're attempting to suppress the island's native Gaelic language. She speaks only Irish, he English. We understand both because actually they're both speaking English. But we're given to understand that they really don't understand one another, and their attempts to overcome this language barrier are extremely amusing and endearing. Translations also marks the Broadway debut of Brian Dennehy and boasts the considerable talents of Donald Donnelly and incipient star Rufus Sewell, whose Byronic good looks should not go unnoticed by anyone attempting a remake of Wuthering Heights. Boston is an ideal location for the pre-Broadway opening of Translations. With its considerable Irish-American population, it's a perfect setting to delight the ears of an audience which is perhaps famished for the sound of lilting Irish voices. Until next time, I'm Pearl Oliver. Ciao for now.
The talk of an MBTA station being built in Ashland is nothing new, but where the town wants to build it is. Our Eye on Ashland investigation team found out that the Rail Committee has its eye on a certain parcel of land, which has 14 area business owners extremely upset.
Well, what they're trying to do is use our property for the East Alternative Rail site rather than use another alternative in the town, which does have available land and accessibility to. And this is something that we, the lefters and the Holdens and the Lakeviews recently learned. We weren't informed by the MBTA or the Ashland Rail Committee, and we're all very upset about this.
I first found out that our business on Magunko Road was affected by the rail station approximately 2 weeks ago. That upset me very much because we haven't had the opportunity to attend any of the meetings, read any of the material that has been gathered from what I understand over the past, could be 6 months or a year. So at this point, we're playing catch up. We're trying desperately to get all the information together, find out the sequence of events, and find out how our businesses, which it includes 3 landowners and it equals 14 businesses, can have all of this be taking place and none of us aware of it going on.
Most of the area businesses here frequent the downtown area merchants on a daily basis. We have accounts with them, the lumber company, the parts supply place, the automotive store, the hardware store. So where we frequently these stores on a daily basis, there would be really no one here to go to those stores, and we feel it would create a negative domino effect on the downtown merchants.
There is an alternative for a railroad station in Ashland, and that's called the Western location, which is located at the end of Pleasant Street near Burnham's Steakhouse. There's land available there on both sides of the railroad tracks. It's further away from residential housing in the Metcalf, Forest, Tilton Avenue. There are more businesses at that end of Pleasant Street. It would be further away from the elderly housing, and this town wouldn't lose 14 businesses and all the associated income to the downtown businesses that we generate.
We don't feel that it's fair, that we don't want them to take our land, and there is accessible, obtainable land elsewhere.
They're not taking our land without the biggest fight they have ever seen. And I think Barbara and Billy feel the same way. We have nowhere to go, nowhere to go.
The Rail Committee will meet Monday, February 27th at 7 p.m., and this topic will also be discussed at the Selectmen's meeting Wednesday, March 1st at 7 p.m. All interested are encouraged to attend both meetings.